And still there is a third point, right? When we look at this plausible deniability, that we aren't, in fact, to be held liable or accountable for the suffering that we go through, that it is not self-inflicted, that it is an induced state of abuse, and that through this abuse, this adrenochrome, this heightened state of escapism has caused us in a paracosm to go into this flux and react against the self. If you've seen Mr. Robot, the DID, when we get into this multiple personality displacement, it seems to be the end-all goal if we were to really reach beyond the ontology and see that we aren't even able to point at the arbiter, the abuser, the afflictor, the one who's caused all this pain and suffering. That from scientific method and from scientific scale, someone who works in a laboratory that's entirely far removed from the feelings, the Plutchik's wheel, the actualization that we are going through pain and suffering, all it looks like to them is an event in a petri dish that may or may not be scrapped as a successful application among on-running countless experiments that are only driving toward one thing and one thing only, and that is toward a production value that serves its needs. And so when I get into this, either way, the mask unveiled reveals a primitive God, whether or not that God is a people's using scientific method, Abraxas, or any other name, Anu, or any other name that we want to give it throughout time and repeat, whether or not that even occurred as well, right? Because there's something very false about history also. There's something very false about geology, anthropology, carbon dating, right? We know that when we're beginning to take much more serious the postulation of Tartaria, missing time, how long this manipulation has been going on. But we do see that we are throwaways. We do see that it isn't necessary for us to reach a final synthesis, to know thyself, to reach any sort of maturation. So in essence, the only thing that we can come up with, if the face is staring at us and through this cargo cult dissolution to where we couldn't even see what we're looking at because our eyes, the protein structures in our eyes are designed to make it so that all we would see is the blackness of space when this huge face is looking down on us, as an analogy, that this is a primitive God. In other words, even if there's intelligence behind it, the primitive aspect is that it doesn't care about us, that it is using us for said informations or the energy that is promoted through angst and suffering and sorrow, i.e. the Arubarus or samsara, and that we neither need to offer it any sort of respect as well, and that breaking free from it becomes the asinine cruelty that you see behind a lot of these cult organizations, that somewhere someone may have understood this, and it may be the arbiter itself setting up another directive, a false directive, that leads to yet another firewall. The madness of the whole